You're listening to Grito Podcast Network, celebrating the culture of Chicanos and Latinos one story and voice at a time. Listen to more Grito Podcast Network shows over at mygrito.net. Connect on social, on Instagram and Facebook at Grito, the Grito Podcast Network.
Orale, you have Oscar here again from My Grito Industries with our third episode of the My Grito podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. As a reminder, if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can also see the show on YouTube. That way you can see a lot of the people that are on the show, especially our beautiful guest today. So make sure that you go on YouTube so you can check out the show. And as a reminder, a big reason for us doing the podcast is because we want to go ahead and highlight a lot of the things that are going on within the podcast. As an example, we're talking about, I'm going to mention it again. I know what you're probably saying, but we do have some great music videos that are currently out there. Starting off with Rundown Creeps. Rundown Creeps, they have Big Bear. Great music video that you can find on YouTube. Make sure you check them out. But not only that, check out their full album, which is a fantastic album they released last year under My Grito Industries. This is an album that you want to add to your playlist. And they did an incredible cover of The Scientist by Coldplay. So you want to check out that song. That's an oldie but goodie. It's a good jam. But also, again, the new music video is Big Bear. Also, Los Homeboys, the founding artists of My Grito, which is 3LH, out of Garden Grove, not too far from where I grew up in Santa Ana. They have their new single and their music video, Darlin'. So you want to make sure that you also check that out and add that song to your playlist on Spotify. As a reminder, we do have the My Grito Podcast Network. Within the network, we have some great shows. We have Emo Brown. That's El Compa Steve out of Chula Vista. He has an incredible platform. He interviews a lot of great, interesting people. So you want to make sure that you do check him out. He does about 2 to 3 shows a week. We also have the West Coast Pop Lock Podcast out of Compton, California. Their shows come out every Tuesday. You can find it live on Facebook and also on YouTube. It starts at 8 p.m., and this is a show that you can actually call into and make your comments. Tell them that they're doing a great job. Tell them that they're fucking up. Whatever you decide to do, you're more than welcome to do it. But that's every Tuesday, West Coast Pop Lock Podcast. We also have Chicano Shuffle, the Homeboys. Their show comes out every Tuesday. And we have Mind Buzz, who is hosted by my homeboy here, Gil, who's helping us out again. Gil, say what's up.
What's up?
So much fucking energy, cabron. I already told you, I want you to fucking bring it, and that's what you give me? Yeah. Give me a little bit more excitement.
What's up, Oscar? How you doing, man?
Cállate el hocico, bro. Don't talk to me that way. So we have Gil from the Mind Buzz, him and Amber. They're a great team. Also, this podcast is not possible without Mind Buzz Media. So if you're interested in doing your very own podcast, what you want to do is you want to reach out to el homie Gil, and he'll be able to talk to you about what he can do to come to your location with all the equipment. All you have to do is have something to fucking say that's interesting, that more than 2 people want to listen to, and he can do that podcast for you. So you want to make sure that you check them out. And also, by now, our last podcast that joined the label, besides this one, of course, is Tragos Amargos podcast by the comedian Jerry Garcia. So you also want to make sure that you check that out. Season 1 is out, and season 2 should be out by now, 1 or 2 episodes in. So again, check those out. Today's guest, I'm very excited because this is an incredible band that we've been keeping a very close eye on. They've been rapidly growing, and I want to tell you a little bit about this band. They are known as the McCharmlys. They've been together since 2018. Their recent album, which is a self-titled album, The McCharmlys, has had much success, not only on Spotify, but also if you've ever had the opportunity to check them out live at any of their concerts. The one thing that you're going to find, or 2 things that you're going to find, is that the audience, they're fucking into the music. They're loving it. It's that 60s type of vibe that a band like this brings it in respectfully. So you see a crowd that really gets into it, but not only that, you commonly hear after the last song of the set, you hear the word otra, otra, otra. It's very commonly heard. They've headlined a lot of shows, but they also opened up for some other big bands, such as Los Yesterdays, Delta Bombers, Trish Toledo, and many, many more. But this is a band that is somebody to be reckoned with because they are doing a fantastic job. Again, you want to check out their new album, the McCharmlys, self-titled. You can find the vinyl. The vinyl is available. With me today is the lead singer, Angie. Angie, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, muy bien, gracias. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on here because, again, like I said, I've been a fan. Rob, my partner, has been a fan of you guys, and you guys have been doing a very, very good job. So
Thank you.
I definitely wanted to give you your flowers because you've done a lot with this band. You and the boys have done such a fantastic job. I had a little bit of a... All right, that's
Thank
enough.
you.
That's enough.
I'm like, yeah, because my head's getting big. Yeah.
It's getting too big for this room.
Relax. Yeah.
But Angie, again, thank you for being on here. I know the boys in the band. It's not very easy to be able to make it to these type of things, especially when we're recording the actual episode. It's been raining a lot here in Southern California, which we did need. But I felt it was appropriate before I start asking you specific questions about you. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the boys in the band. Who are they, and anything you want to share about them?
Yeah, I am so lucky, first of all, to be jamming with a lot of my favorite musicians. So a lot of the boys have been in various other bands that I really admire. And the first one being Bobby. His name is Robert Greenig, but we all know him as Bobby. And he was one of the first members that I had asked to join the band. So he was my hero because he played drums for so many of my favorite bands. And just seeing his work ethic really blew me away. And when I asked him, I was almost in shock that he said yes, because I'm like, what? This guy wants to jam with me? Like, wow. Like, one of my heroes wanting to jam with me. That's awesome. So I got him involved. And
he's in the Navy, right?
Yeah, Bobby's currently serving our country in the Navy. He's probably the only one that's always on time. That's very like the Navy has some good. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to have Bobby. And then the second member that I got was actually David. So David is in another band called the Valley Rats, which are local in Santana, and with his twin brother David, which is kind of funny because, you know, we've taken on hopping on social media and the trends, and I guess his brother Damien, his twin, studies in Long Beach, and I guess everyone's kind of confusing them, like, oh, you're on the McCharmlys, and Damien has to be like, oh no, that's my twin brother's band. So it's kind of funny. But David was probably the second member, and then the third member was Carlos, which has been in Twin Seas, the Altons, been in La Chamba, just is so knowledgeable about so many different genres, and another person that I'm very fortunate to be working with. And the last member that it just kind of happened, he was just kind of perfect, would be Eddie. Eddie was in the Whiskey Dynamos a long time ago, and then has just always been a well-rounded musician. He knows his stuff better than any of us do. He's always on key, always on pitch, and I feel very lucky to be doing this with these guys. They're all very incredible, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a bandmate and a friend with them, but genuinely, like, these are guys that have been doing this for a long time, that know their stuff, that really, like, I'm just very lucky to be with them.
No, they're you guys as a band, you guys definitely seem like the whole package. When I've been to your guys' shows, though, the synergy that you guys have on stage, it's not only in the way the instruments are being played, where you can tell you guys are genuinely good musicians, but also the harmony and the voices. The fact that you, first of all, great voice. I love the lyrics, which I will ask you about in a few minutes.
Oh no!
But it sounds really good. But then when you get the boys in the band that come in to do backup harmonies, it just sounds so good. And not just only on the record or on Spotify or on iTunes, it's live. And that's something that it's so hard sometimes for some bands to be able to cross over from being a good performer that's been recorded in studio versus performing live. Do you hear those type of comments or anything from fans?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's man, I'm really like I said, I'm really not kidding when I tell you that I'm very lucky to be working with these guys because they love to sing and they sing their own songs, and whenever it comes down to singing, they just don't shy away from it, which I love because the more voices the better. I just feel like it rounds out the sound, and when we're all enjoying it you see that translates into the crowd and into the music, and so lucky. I love that.
And we're very lucky to have met you guys. I'll tell you a little bit about how we came across the McCharmlys. First of all, it started off with Carlos. So Carlos, he went ahead and when he was doing a solo project, this is when he was at the time either still with the Altons or had broken away to do a little bit more solo work under Carlos Casanova.
Yeah.
He went ahead and jumped in on one of our My Grito Más Alto charity compilations. He was on number 3. And the fact that he offered his song for the charity compilation meant a lot for us because keep in mind, we're more of a small independent label. Mm-hmm. We're a subsidiary of a bigger label, which is Wiretap Records. But with My Grito, we're trying to get a little bit more stabilized, trying to get our name out there. And we felt that these charity compilations would be a good opportunity for us to work with bands, to get to know them, but also to do some good with some good charities. So when he did that with us, I thought that was fantastic. And then here comes Más Alto Volume 4, and we finally get the McCharmlys, which at that point he was part of.
Yes.
We got you guys on Volume 4, and that's when we got the song Love Me Too.
Mm-hmm. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about Love Me Too, because that was such a great song. And right away when you guys offered that song to us, we knew that there was something special about you guys. What can you tell me about the song Love Me Too?
Sure. Well, Love Me Too was a song that had just kind of been sitting in my books for a while. There's plenty of songs that I've written a long time ago or that I started. And I just felt it in my gut. I'm like, this is a good song. This is a cool song. And I especially like it because of the ending, because I like how I end it, where it just love me too. And it's like I love a good cliffhanger. So I really enjoy that. But yeah, I don't know. Love Me Too is very inspired by the Beatles, by Paul McCartney, and also just inspired. Many of these songs are inspired by some relationships that I've had. That music is my therapy. It's my outlet, which is why sometimes I'm like, oh God, don't read the lyrics.
Are you the next Tay-Tay talking about relationships? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó?
Who hurt you? Nah. I mean, it's just it's a way to, I don't know. It's an outlet for sure. Growing up, I was raised Catholic, and there used to be a little monjita, like a little nun, that would play guitar, and I always wanted to play guitar in choir, and she would always tell me, when you sing, it means a lot more. It's a lot more powerful when you sing your feelings, or when you sing a prayer, or when you sing it, So for me, I was like, then I'm gonna sing out loud how I feel then.
Well, you've done a wonderful job, and not only was it, I'm sure, therapeutic for you, but también for the fans that are listening to your guys' music, because that's the wonderful thing about music. It's how powerful it is and how much it can impact people, regardless of what kind of situation they're in. Everybody goes through different things. Mm-hmm. And I just love how music can help you out in one of your darkest moments. And sometimes when you want to stay dark and you want to listen to that dark music that hurts you, I don't know why in the fuck am I so emo, but I just love that kind of music.
Me too.
Ay, caray. What are they going to do with us?
I just want to cry.
Yeah, puro crying party. Yeah. But I did have something, and I was kind of debating if I wanted to share this with you, but I'm gonna confess on something, and hopefully it doesn't come across the wrong way. But I felt that it would be appropriate for me to say it out loud, say it to everybody out there, because this was a learning opportunity for me, and it was kind of a little bit of a hard lesson for me to accept. But me being fairly new to the music industry, on behalf of My Grito. My partner running Wiretap this year is going to be 10 years. And him being involved in radio for most of his adult life, starting off with K-Rock, I leaned a lot on him for different things. But when we started working with Carlos, and then Carlos started working with you guys as the McCharmlys, he would occasionally send out the invite to go check you guys out. I, at that point, took it as the impression of, see if this is a good fit for the label. I don't know if that was the case or not, but at that moment, based on how Rob and I, our schedules were, we just couldn't make it out.
Right.
And it wasn't for the sake of, I don't like the band, because we did really like you guys. But we didn't go. And if you fall asleep, you miss out. At that moment, shortly after, you guys signed up with one label. And then right before you released a self-titled album, you are now on with another label, a fantastic label, by the way. If I remember correctly, ran by women. Fully women? Is it all women? Or
No, it's partially owned by women, by Magdalena, I think is her name. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the name of the label?
New Tone. It's called New Tone. So it's part of High Tide, which is big in like surf and rock and roll and all sorts of different genres. But we got picked up by New Tone, which is more of an eclectic label, and they share, our label mates, which I'm like so excited for, is like Tito Ramirez.
Wow.
His music is so amazing. Tito Ramirez. We're with the Tailspins, which have opened up for freaking Jack White. Like, what? That's so cool. And who else is on that? There's there's so many on there. There's Boogaloo Assassins. There's just so many great musicians and people that I hope to like work with too. I'm just like, we were very fortunate to connect with them, and I had to ask a bunch of questions. I'm like, all right, what do you really want with us? Like, what do you? It was I think it was meant to be, and yeah, we were very fortunate to be with New Tone, and they've helped us out a lot. I mean, one of my many goals was to press vinyl, and that's what they did for us. This is our self-titled album, our record, which this was taken right outside of our favorite bar, which is Mission Bar in Santana, right next to the dumpsters.
I know that spot very well.
Yeah, so it's very beat. It's very 60s mod, which is like not even something that I really thought that we were or that I wanted to be. It just kind of happened. But yeah, that's a record.
Well, I definitely want to talk about the record, but just to finish off my comment, I'm very happy for you guys as a band, because that is an incredible label to be a part of.
Thank you.
My learning experience from that was, it's one of those things where you never know. And if you don't act, you miss out on great opportunities. And I've had people ask me in the past, because you guys have performed at some of our shows, hey, so the McCharmlys are really fucking taking off. Are they part of your label? And I'm there looking like a pendejo. Thanks, Gil. Aww. He was one of the people that asked.
I was.
And my response is, I always felt like maybe there was an opportunity early on, but we fell asleep too long. And because of that, we missed out, but you guys didn't, because it got you to where you're at right now. And you have this incredible album. I love the way it was recorded with using 60s microphones, instruments. It just came across very genuine for those that can appreciate music, especially the era that you're giving homage to. It's fantastic. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So great job on that. It was released March of last year.
Yes, it's coming around. We're gonna have our 1 year anniversary pretty soon, but this time we're gonna be on tour.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that. This is everything that I dreamed of, and more, because I don't know, like going into this, I had a list of things that I wanted to accomplish, and little by little, everything's been falling into place, and I feel very fortunate to be able to be going through this.
Well, you and the band deserve it. You guys as a group have done such a great job in putting together not only a great set of songs, a great album to put out, but also as live entertainers. You guys have definitely won over the crowd. So fantastic job. Let's talk about when you did do the album release, you went ahead and performed at the Paramount, but it wasn't just any fucking ordinary show.
That's right.
You guys went a little bit extra, as you guys should, and you made it prom theme.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did you decide that that's what it's going to be?
Well, I don't know. I don't like to just stick with the 60s theme. And 60s could go so many ways because there's like there's 60s pop, there's 60s rock, there's 60s all sorts of things, but I'm a big fan of like the 50s look. Not so much the ideals, but the 50s music. It's very simple. It follows a certain structure. I like the dresses and the outfits, and I like to go to these events where basically they're like underground events that you go and you dance. So they're like jiving, like you see a bunch of people dressed up and you jive and you try to learn the steps and you try not to look silly in front of everybody. But yeah, I chose prom because I wanted everybody to get dressed up. Because inside my head, I was raised with the mentality of like, you always go dressed up because you never know who you're going to run into. Mm-hmm. That's what my father taught me. And that's kind of something that I kept in my head. And I thought it would be fun for everybody to come dressed up and get excited. And I figured maybe I'll make an event out of it. Like maybe I'll just pick someone who looks really great and give them a crown, even if it's a little paper crown. Like I thought it'd be like a fun incentive for our fans to join us in a special night.
And how did that go over? Was a king and queen crowned?
A king and queen was crowned. Actually, Nira, do you know Nira?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Nira's awesome. So she won. Her and her son actually won. I didn't know them at the time, but she was dressed so beautifully, and her little boy had a little blue suit on. I was like, perfect. I was like, oh. So I crowned them king and queen.
I would think somebody like Gil and Amber would, because did you see how they were dressed?
I'm looking for it right now.
I saw the ruffles. I saw the fit. I was like, damn. Everybody brought it. And the lineup was awesome.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah, look at how cute they are.
Throw it on.
Waffles.
For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, good for you. If you're not, you're missing out.
You're missing out on the ruffles. Come on now.
It was a good night. It was a great show. You guys put on a great show, and it was just, all in all, it was pretty fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That show was kind of scary for us.
Why is that?
Well, we were still a baby band. Like we weren't signed at this point yet. We were still like, we were doing everything by ourselves. Everything I did up to the Paramount, up to the first time at the Paramount, was all like on a whim, on literally betting on ourselves. Like, fuck it, let's book the Paramount. Okay, well the Paramount says that we have to fill it up with at least 200 to 300 people. Can we do it? And that's where I was like, ooh, can we fill up a venue with that many? So I'm over here doubting myself, like, maybe not. Like, no one really knows about us. We've only released one single. I don't know, but I think the secret to all this stuff is believing in yourself. Like, you got to act like you're the shit so that people believe that you're the shit. As weird or as cocky as that may come off, try to think about it in a sense where if like in theater terms, if you believe it, they'll believe it. If you believe your truth, then other people will follow along with you. So I was like, whatever, I'm sure we'll fill it up. I just kind of kept with that mentality, like, I know we'll fill it up. I know people are gonna like this, and if they don't, hey, that's okay. It's not for everybody, but we're gonna bet on ourselves and we're gonna believe in ourselves because that's all we have. And if we don't believe, then what makes me think that anybody else is going to, So that's why we were scared. We were like, oh, we hope we can fill it up. And we did. We ended up almost selling out the place our first night. Just nice.
Well, I've heard so many wonderful things about it. And I love what you're saying, Angie, porque very commonly in my industry, they talk about confianza, having it. And it's always one of those things where if you believe in it, like you said, people will believe in you as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of having, it's almost like when there's that line between confidence and arrogance, right? And if you really want to be very effective, you got to be so confident that you're almost running into that line of confidence without crossing over, because you don't want to be arrogant, because when you do become arrogant, you stop learning.
Yeah.
The difference with you guys is not only being, not that you weren't confident, you are. The the big thing is that you guys could back it up. You could back it up with good music. You can back it up with good performances. So it was easily sellable on why you guys could sell out a show like the Paramount and fill it up. You guys brought value. Price is only an issue, or doubt is only an issue when there's an absence of value. But you guys were bringing value. So con eso, it was easy for you guys. And I'm glad that you took that risk because you had everything in your power to back it up. So you guys did a great show. I wish I was there, but ya sabes la vida and all that stuff.
Pues
And I had to
sí.
do this. I had to do
That's
that.
cuando sucede.
Ay. I'm too old, you know. By 9 o'clock, I'm already like in bed.
Me too.
Netflix is on. I don't know. It gets harder for me to go out at night.
I agree.
Oh, this life is for young people, much younger than me.
You're telling me. I'm like, I know I look like 22, pero.
Yeah, eso sí. So tell me a little bit about you, Angie. I understand you were born in Linwood, but from the age of 2, you moved over to Santa Ana, which is my hood. Not only my hood, but also Rob, my partner. We're both from Santa Ana. We were there for most of our lives. How was that move for you, going to a
Easy.
different place?
Easy.
Fácil.
I was too young to even understand. So I think for me, Santana is my home. Even though I was born in Lakewood, I was actually born at St. Francis at that hospital. And when I was 2, my mom met my stepdad, and they decided to live together, and I've been in Santana ever since. So I call myself a Santanera because I've been there since I was 2, and I feel like I've earned my stripes. I've seen the city change, and for the longest time I was like, damn, I don't have any friends around here. But the older I got, the music kind of connected me to so many other people who are around in different bands and in different genres that I'm like, damn, you know what? Santana really is where it's at. Like, this is really the place. Like, so many creatives when it comes to painters, photographers, musicians. It's incredible. I'm very blessed and very happy to call myself a Santanera. And back in the day, you were kind of talking to me earlier about how like Santana was definitely a place where it wasn't totally safe. And it wasn't for a long time. Like I remember being very young and not wanting to mention to anybody that I'm from Santana. But when I started going out and I started to check out the music scene, just kind of things that really moved me, then I started to realize that my hood's got it.
So does that mean that you have your Santana tattoo?
Not yet.
You're not down for it.
I've been thinking of,
Come on.
dude, I'm not, I haven't.
Do I need to
had
show
the
you my
moment.
tattoo?
Yes, let me see.
Yeah,
Prove
puro
it.
pedo, puro pedo. And I can't right here on camera. But I represent my hood. I'm not living there now.
It's all in your back. Big old essay.
It's his tramp stamp. That's what it is.
Cállate.
Hey, you
el
wanted me to
hocico.
speak more.
God.
There you go. This is where you
Where's
get,
the mute
dude.
button for this guy? But I mean, Santa Ana came a long way, and it does have
Yes.
so many talented people. But the talent is not easily created without having good parents, without having a much improved school system, because it has taken a while, and it's getting better and better as we go on, because we do have more better teachers that are coming into the city to help out with our education. But it does have a lot to do with the parents and the values that they bring. And from what I understand with your background, Angie, your parents have always been extremely supportive of you.
Oh yeah, I am a product of love. I am definitely loved, and I don't know. I guess in a way, I don't want to say my parents sheltered me or like kind of like hid me away from the bad, but I didn't start realizing that not everybody has the luxury of like having 2 parents. And even though I had a stepdad that raised me, like I was still like I had it all. So I didn't realize where I stood as far as like classism and like everything else in my life, like as far as like having a home, being loved, and having support. Like I took that for granted for many years because I didn't realize that that's what it was until I got to college and I started to study, how people work. Like, what was it called? It was called like social studies. So I didn't start to realize how much support I had from my parents and how that affected me in developing who I wanted to be. So that was pretty major. And when I realized that, I was like, damn, I am one blessed girl. Like, I'm very, very lucky to have two parents that maybe at first they were kind of iffy about the topic, but little by little, my mom especially started to see, number one, how much I loved it, because as much as she tried to wean me off of it, she's like, tú naciste así, así te quedaste. I'm like, well, yeah, music has always been in my heart and my blood. Ever since I was little, I would like be moving my foot to like something. But yeah, it helps when you're supported. And I feel like in a way, other artists who have not been supported the way I have also figured out a way to use music as an outlet, which I also admire and I think is very beautiful. So ni de allá ni de acá, like art comes from everywhere, whether you're supported by your parents or not. The important thing is that you just believe in yourself and you have faith in yourself, and it helps when your parents are supportive. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the hurdles that you were able to overcome is the fact that you did have that support system at home, because there's so many people, especially in all these different cities and all these different counties, regardless of where you're at. And I'm going to talk specifically about Chicanos, Latinos, because that's the culture that's who I am. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult at times to have that supportive family, because especially if your parents are immigrants, they're out there trying to find their way. They're out there working multiple jobs, all because they're trying to support you going to school, doing extra activities if need be. And it's hard because they're not there to be supportive. And sometimes it's very hard when you're out there asking, hey, can I play sports? There's no money for them to invest for you to be doing these sports.
Yeah.
They're working long shifts. They get home, you're out there doing your mamadas and shit. And then next thing you know, you get a chancla. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask you if you got the chancla or not, but
I got worse.
But I think for a lot of us, we've all faced some sense of struggle, if you will, or adversity with what we had to deal with growing up. Mm-hmm. If we do have supportive parents, that means a lot. But for anybody out there, it's never 100% easy. So we all have our own struggles. I'm sure you had some struggles yourself. Mm-hmm. But everything that I hear about your parents and you being able to play your sports, I understand you're a swimmer, you play track. What's very impressive, as if the other things aren't, is the fact that you were in a fucking Disney commercial, because you were also doing acting.
I was doing acting for a long time. I still want to be an actress. I mean,
mira nomás.
Hopefully everything goes through well and I get some sort of acting deal, because that would be super awesome. But yeah, it hasn't been easy. I mean, even being supported by your parents is not an easy road, because that's still something, like, you still have to consider them. And you still have to be a good daughter, even though your soul tells you want to do something else, And not just that, but like, aside from your parents, you get attacked by all these other people. And being a Latina born in the U.S., you get the topic of like Hispanics being like, "Oh, you think you're better than us, huh? Because you went to private school, because you know English better than us." And then you get, the other side of people being like, You don't belong with us. Like who do you think you are? So it's very like, ni de allá ni de acá. It's like, where do I fit in? Where, like, for sure I may not be struggling as hard as other people, but there are definitely other battles that, it's life. Something's always gonna happen. Something from some place somewhere. If you're doing anything in the world, someone is always gonna have an opinion about what you are, who you are, and what you're doing. So,
and it's so hard to not listen to it. As you get older, you figure out a way to kind of block it out and focus on what your goals are. But it's not easy. It's not easy for you to be able to stop doing that. I mean, growing up, I would hear comments from me being called Pocho. I was born here. First language is Spanish, but after second grade, I learned how to write, read, speak Spanish first. But after second grade, it was all English. And then at that point, I was doing a lot of Spanglish in between. So I would commonly hear pocho with certain people. As I was learning more English and getting better at school, I would get, oh, pues te crees muy muy. And I would struggle with that because here I am trying to fit in with one side, but at the same time, there's things that I want to do. There's sacrifices that I made growing up.
Yeah.
That for some people it may seem like a luxury, but in reality, it wasn't. I mentioned on the second episode when I was interviewing Art Meza from Chicano Soul that for many years I grew up working in the swap meet. And there was a lot of things that I learned from working in the swap meet because what we were doing, both my dad, my brother, my sister, and I, we were selling, out of all things, we were selling car polish. And we were out there with a hood that we got from the junkyard. And we're out there telling people, hey, here's how this polish works. Here's how you apply it. But imagine me being at 7, 8 years old, all the way till I was about 18, doing this every fucking weekend, missing out on baseball games, football games, wrestling matches, hanging out with my friends, concerts, which I loved so much growing up. I missed all of that, but I learned a lot of things from working at a very young age. And now that I took a lot of that work ethic that really my parents instilled in me, and I have reached some form of success. No, Miss Angie, sometimes I still get shit from different people about you're criticizing where I'm at without understanding how hard all the sacrifices I made in order to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still get that with your path, with the success that you've had with the McCharmlys, with the success that you've had as an individual, with the luxuries, the advantages that you've had growing up. Do you get that much or?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, sometimes I feel guilty, but then I think about it and I'm like, there's no way, because I've struggled in my own personal way. Like this stuff, everything that I have did not just fall from the sky. Like having two parents that supported me didn't just fall from the sky. It came from their own experiences and from them wanting a better life, not just for themselves, but for me, which I think is very selfless of them. And I think it's up to, the child to realize that and to understand that and be like, damn, my parents did all that just so I could do this. How lucky am I? Like I am just, then that means that I need to do something great. Or maybe that could also be like, damn, they did all that so I can in peace and happily do what I love. And like I said, nothing comes without a challenge. I think everyone struggles in their own way, but yeah, I definitely get that. I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And before we started recording, we talked about one of the other things that you had to go through at a very young age. I know you're talking about your two parents that are very supportive, one of them being your stepdad. And I mentioned to you that I am a stepdad, and what the things that I went through in helping to raise these two young ladies that are now adults, to letting them know that they do have a big support system behind them. It's not just having two parents. I want them to feel like they have three without me overstepping any boundaries as a stepdad, right? But still them feeling that they have that support system, but they still had to deal with the fact that their biological parents are no longer together. And at a very young age, it's going one weekend here, another weekend there.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of back and forth. You mentioned about how supportive your stepdad was, and obviously your mom, which is a huge impact in your life.
Absolutely.
But you also told me that your biological dad, you connected with him in was it your late teens?
Yeah, my late teens, early 20s. I mean, I'm still 20. I don't like to admit my age. But yeah. I've connected with him. He's actually been to one of my shows, which is always lovely to see him in the crowd because I feel like my biological dad and I, we're like one. Even my brothers, my half brothers, I have two of them. I freaking love them. But I definitely feel like I'm more of like I'm his daughter through and through. And I invited him to the show. It was actually the one at Alex's bar with the Delta Bombers. That guy was so proud. He was like, "Esa mija." He was like,
That's
"Hija,
awesome.
what do you want?" I'm like, "Tequila, Dad." He's like, "All right, for sure, for sure." So it's nice to be able to have him at shows because my stepdad would probably not be into that, but it's nice to be able to share that with my biological dad. And like everything's a choice, you know. I've kind of grown to understand that whatever happened to my mom and my stepdad has nothing to do with me besides the fact that I was created. But other than that, like it has nothing to do with me, and it's just been a personal choice to get to know him and make that decision for myself. And it's been wonderful ever since, and I'm very happy that I made that decision.
Good for you. That's a major step. And I could only imagine, I don't know exactly how the process was for all three of them, your mom, your stepdad, and your dad, to witness all of this happening and for them to be accepting enough, if that was the case, for you to be making that connection. I know it's not always easy.
No.
There's always all these struggles. We have our own fucking cheese man on our side of the
You gotta
family.
be mindful. Yeah.
But it's good that for you as an adult, you were able to make that decision for yourself. And it's important because you need to know those things about yourself. And without trying to be necessarily disrespectful to anybody else, there's still importance in you knowing answers
Yes.
that has something to do with you personally, with who you are to the core. So kudos to you for doing that. Let's go back to the album.
Let's hit it.
So the album again, big fan. I understand that it took 2 years for this to come out from the beginning of starting the first song to finishing the whole project. 2 años. ¿Por qué? Why so long?
Even more, actually. A lot of these songs I wrote years ago. A lot of these songs, like I don't know. I've been writing since I was like 8. Just a bunch of lyrics, a bunch of words. And I never knew how to play guitar, and I never thought I was good enough for it. But yeah, this has been in the making for a long time. And at first, I mean, everything we've done with the McCharmlys has always been DIY. Has been like figuring it out. What do we want to do? How can we get to that goal? So we finally found Johnny from Jazz Cats, who's in Long Beach. Shout out to Johnny.
I've been there.
Yeah, and now he's building his Jazz Cats 2.0, which is awesome. But Johnny has worked with a lot of amazing people, and one of the people that I really admired are the Newmans, who are from Santana as well. They're like a hardcore 60s garage band. And I just thought it was so cool because I didn't find out about them until way later. And knowing that they're from Santana, I was like, damn, like that was a sick band. And hearing that they got recorded by Jazz Cats and a bunch of other of our favorite bands got recorded by Jazz Cats, I was like, I want to get recorded by Jazz Cats. So that was kind of like a bucket list check right there. We finally raised the money for it. We saved up. We did it all in a couple of days. Johnny was super cool about working with us and working around our schedules, which is really nice. And the whole album, it's literally just instruments and voice. There really wasn't too much thought into it besides, hey, we have these songs. We've been jamming them for a long time. Let's record them. We finally found a person. We raised up the money. Boom, we got it done. But moving forward, I think the next album that we're going to be releasing, hopefully recording after tour, I definitely have switched my gears to working with a producer. That's been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And
Mira, muy chingona.
nah, it's just I like working with other people. Like I like hearing opinions, and I like to see what other people like. I always call it blooming. Like I feel like how else can this song bloom? And everybody has a talent, and the minute you incorporate someone else is always going to have their interpretation of it. So I think that's really beautiful, is just to be able to like listen to what another person could hear from it and how a song can bloom.
Absolutely. And you know what? The quality that is needed for that type of mentality is to put that ego aside. And it's good to hear that you're in that position. You're looking for that constructive feedback on how to improve, how to be a better version of yourself, how to put together a better product that best represents you and the band. So good for you.
I'm forever the student. I really don't know anything. I'm learning along. I mean, I feel out of all my bandmates, I'm the one that's like the lowest. Like I'm still trying to figure out how things work, and if I need any advice, I'll go to them. Like those are the guys that I would lean on and be like, "Hey, I wrote this," and in my head I'm like, "Damn, this is the dumbest song ever," but here it goes. And then they'll be like, "No, that's great. I can hear this." And I love that. That is like, that's so great. Like when someone else can kind of interpret what you're saying or what you're doing, that's a great collaboration. That's cool.
That's awesome. Good for you. The number one song on Spotify when I went ahead and took a listen is Awful Thing. Has some great numbers behind it. Tell me about the song. How did it come about? And the lyrics. Dime más, dime más.
Well, Awful Thing, when I first introduced it, everyone was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Okay, cool. Whatever. It sounds like everything else. I was like, what? Yeah, it wasn't received very well. It was kind of like, oh, whatever. Yeah. So it kind of stayed in the books for a minute. And then it wasn't until literally when we were recording at Jazz Cats, I was like, fuck it. We're bringing this song in. And I leaned on Eddie because Eddie, I don't know music theory as well as he does. So I'll be like, hey, I'm looking for a certain chord, but I don't know where it's at. And I wanted to sound like this, but again, like, I don't know where to find it. So I'll be like playing it with him and he was like, oh yeah, right here. And I was like, perfect. So if it weren't for Eddie, this song would not be finished. And if it weren't for me just being like, fuck it, we're gonna add it to the album. And I knew the minute I wrote it, I was like, this is catchy. I just knew it. But everyone that I, when I played it for the band, it's very bare bones. Like everything I play is always chords and vocals, which doesn't sound like much until you start to add the textures, which I mean like the 12 string and the bass. The bass starts doing a different rhythm. The drums start going a different direction. And then you pair them all together and it sounds like something totally different. So yeah, that was initially a throwaway song. That was a nothing song, a song that wasn't going to make it anywhere. And it's our biggest hit.
Could you imagine that?
I knew it. I freaking knew it.
So has there been an I told you so yet? Or are you just keeping it cool and not saying anything to the band? But like, ya sabes, like, I told you this shit would work.
I'll be honest. I was kind of like, I told you. Because sometimes it takes a little bit of convincing. Sometimes the boys are like, nah, that song isn't good. I'm like, no, trust me. Maybe just add a little bit of, and then it'll come in, It'll work out. I believe in us and I believe in the collaboration that we have, and everything eventually falls into place.
Yeah, I agree. So Angie, number 2 on Spotify, and it's a Spanish one. Mm-hmm. You hit my corazón. Mm-hmm. Tú serás mi baby. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Tú serás mi baby was not a song I even thought about. That was actually Bobby's idea. Bobby, he knows so many cool, like, rare songs, and I had a while back, I was on tour with another group, and I went to Amsterdam, and I picked up this record by a group called Les Surfs, which I believe they're all siblings, and they're the ones who did it in Spanish first, I believe. And Bobby was like, dude, let's just do this one, but in Spanish. I was like, hell yeah. So we just did it, and everyone was on board, and it just ended up sounding, I guess, okay. And that it ended up sounding cool. I don't I don't I don't even know how to put this, but when I was a little girl, I never thought that I had a nice voice. Like I always thought I had a very like deep voice, a very like manly voice, very raspy, and I hated it for the longest time. But I think this song just kind of works with the little rasp that I have. So it's been fun to kind of work with it and develop that and just kind of stay true to who I am, but also pay homage to Les Surfs and Ronnie Spector, whom I adore and I'm a big fan of. And I just even reading about her life, I feel very connected to her. So that was very special for us, and I'm very happy that people like our cover.
Absolutely. And is it that song that is available only on a 45?
That's right. So Tu Serás Mi Baby is available on a 45 record, which you can get on New Tone or hightiderecords.com. And you're going to get, it basically comes in all different colors. So the first side is actually Always Be My Baby, which is one of our slower soul songs. And then the next one is Tu Serás Mi Baby, which is a cover in Spanish, and eventually would like to release more music in Spanish because that's who we are. We are Latinos, and I was raised by two immigrants, and if anything, I'd like to pay homage to my culture and mi gente and who I am and the people that raised me.
I think that's fantastic. It's good to hear when individuals can reconnect back to their cultura and pay homage to them respectfully. And I really feel with this song, the McCharmlys, you specifically, did an awesome job with that song.
Thank you.
It's no shocker to me why that's number 2 on your Spotify. Great song. I can't wait to hear more Spanish covers. And you guys have done more Spanish covers, no?
Mm-hmm. We do, well, I don't want to give it away. I want to make sure you come check us out sometime, and maybe you can tell everybody what other covers we do. But not just that, we've written a lot of, I've written a lot of stuff in Spanish, and that is no surprise because my background actually stems in mariachi music. So somos de Guadalajara, which means that a lot of the music that I'm inspired by is a lot of like música en español. So like Cuco Sanchez, a lot of Agustin Lara, like a bunch of sad songs. But yeah, I mean, eventually that's something that I would love to incorporate into our sound, because although we are very Beatlesque British beat music, and we love that, pero también hay en español. You know, there's definitely this movement where a bunch of Latinos like dug it and got with it and did even better covers. I feel better music, better. I don't know. It's very cool to explore that side.
Well, I'm a fan. It was really good. So there's an artist that right now, as you're talking, you're reminding me of her. Mm-hmm. Linda Ronstadt.
Oh yeah, I've heard this is not the first time that I've heard the comparison. Yes. Yeah.
Her dad being Mexicano, one of my favorite records that I personally own, and it's not an expensive record, but it's Linda Ronstadt, Canciones para mi, and I'm going to fucking chop it, mess it up right now, but Canciones para mi papá. Uh-huh. And she's just doing the classics so beautifully. And I think a lot of people were tripping out because a lot of the music that she was coming out with was in English. And then all of a sudden she comes out with a fucking Spanish LP.
Yep.
That just sounded so beautiful. So you get that comparison, Linda Ronstadt.
I do. I hear it a lot, and I'm like, what? Because I was not raised with Linda at all. That's like something that I didn't learn about her until I started working with my friend. Her name is damn, did I forget her name? Anyways, she has a couple of brands called Nalgona Positivity and another one called Seeds from the Flesh, which she promotes a lot of like Latino artists, a lot of forgotten Hispanic artists. And I didn't hear about Linda until I started working with her. Like I just kind of started helping her out in in her business, and I found out that she was a Latina, but she also did country music, and I was like, what? But then you find out that she has an album that's like songs para mi papá, then that's like, wow, this is a Latina who had paved her way by doing, music in English, but she didn't forget about her roots and like who she was, which I think is very beautiful. And she did a damn good job.
She did.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums for me when I can put it on, just listen to it, having a drink, and just reminiscing, because a lot of that music it's traditional music that she did justice to it. With a voice like that, it's fantastic. I don't know if you see yourself, especially with your family from Jalisco, mariachi, so much of an influence, if you would ever consider yourself doing those specific songs. Have you been asked to do those?
Any day. I mean, like I said, that's how I first started to sing. I ended up doing a lot of singing with a lot of mariachi. I even had my own outfits for a long time.
Mira no más.
Yeah, no, I mean, till this day, I'm a hardcore. Like I'm there with my tequila, like esa no.
Esa no.
I'm like,
have you ever thought about
estoy.
Why don't you come out with an album? I'm not trying to break up the McCharmlys. Keep it. But if you want to do like classic Spanish music that just hits the soul, but just call it esa no.
I am so down.
That would be fucking dope.
I am so down. For the longest time, a song that I've been wanting to cover with the McCharmlys is actually Yo Lo Comprendo by Victor Iturbe. Y no quieres besarme, yo lo comprendo. Do, 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 do.
Oh, stop. I'm not ready for that. Esa no.
Pero cómo le explico a mi corazón.
Wow.
It's so good. It's like
Wow. First of all, that was awesome. Secondly, I don't know why more podcasts are not reaching out to you to interview you, because mira no más, everything that they get from Angie. That's so fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Angie, let's go back to the album. Because again, it's a great album. I fucking love it. Another big hit from that album is Miss Me. And the harmony, I think, between the boys, I don't know if that just really did it for me, because I'm listening to, at least that's my interpretation. When I hear Miss Me, voice, of course, is great on your part, always is. But the band coming in with those harmonies just takes it here to here, here to here.
Yeah.
Were the boys pretty excited about doing that song with a lot more involvement vocally from them? Because it seems like they're pretty present throughout the whole song.
Yeah. They loved it. I mean, till this day, I'm like, nah, let's take it out. And they're like, no, that's our favorite song. I'm like,
We get one song where we really get to flex. Y tú no la quieres. And
I'm
you're like, I know the hits.
I'm so over this song, but they love it. And that feels really nice, because I'm like, damn, okay, well, if you guys like it, then fuck it. Let's just do it. But that's definitely a song that I'm tired of. And that was a song totally about an ex of mine that would just call me all the time, text me all the time. And I'm not a clingy person. I am very much a back the fuck up. I need my space. You leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. Then when we get together, it'll be great. But that was definitely like, ooh, won't you miss me for a while? I know it's not your style, but at least you could try, like, relax. I like you too, but like
chill.
Like chill. So that, and then, with your big boots and your long black hair, that's definitely about the guy that I was dating at the time. It was kind of like, hey, chill. Yeah.
Boss. Yeah, we won't talk about that song anymore, but I know the boys, they like singing it because of that harmony.
Great, yeah,
they sound great.
They kill it.
A song that I fucking love, and my big question to you is, why is this song not any bigger?
What song?
It's on the album, Strange Honey.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Why
That's
the
my
fuck?
favorite.
So that's my favorite.
That's
I'm
my
just
favorite.
keeping it real. I'm going off of what the numbers show, and then I'm going to finish off with my favorite.
Okay.
Strange Honey. Why the fuck is it not? Why are not more people listening to this song?
I don't know, but that song is very personal. I feel like,
¿Por qué?
well, number one, the lyrics. I'm like, I hope no one reads too into this because
I did. Tell me
like,
more.
"Oh,
Tell
fuck."
me more. Why do you think I like it? I was just like, oh, there's so much here.
It's definitely raw, hot, and heavy. It's definitely like a song about like being in love with someone and wanting to just get closer, but you're already so close where it's like, how can I get closer to you? And it's also, a song about like the closer I get, the more burnt I get. Like the more it hurts, the more I get like burned.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just definitely like it's a heavy song, and I feel like every time I sing it, I always feel it very heavy. Like even though this moment that I wrote it in has passed, it's definitely a song that I feel like in my soul. That's one of my that is my favorite song off of the album, and it's very sacred and personal, and even I don't know. I think maybe because I haven't advertised it as well. Awful Thing and Tu Serás Mi Baby are songs that I try to promote, and they're easy to promote on TikTok and all that. I've jumped on the social medias, and although it's been cringy and tough because there's a fine line between like who do I want to be versus what's trending, so I have to kind of figure out how to do something that doesn't totally make me hate myself.
I get that. But your soul, your corazón is telling you Strange Honey is a fucking banger.
It is, and I've jammed it with a lot of different drummers, and I've always known that where I wanted the hits to be, and I always knew that it was kind of an abstract song, but still something that like is gonna hit if just played right. And I'm telling you, every time I sing that song, I feel it in my bones, in my soul. And I've tried to promote it on TikTok and Instagram, but I think it's too serious.
I don't know. It's my shit.
Me too.
It's so much that for the little world that I live in, I don't know how much this is going to mean to you, but for me, it means a lot. I have what I think more people should have if they're dark like me, a death playlist. And this song is fucking teeter-tottering on being on that list because when I hear it, I'm like, fuck, why is it hitting my corazón? Why is it doing this to me? So as a lover of music and the arrangement of it's played and the lyrics, it hit me. I would say it hit me the most out of the whole album. Wow. And that's why I was tripping out. Like, why is this shit not getting more hits?
Yeah.
Because it's a great song. And it made me think of two songs. Because of the lyrics, and I think you guys did a better job than what some people would call a god in the music of just dark music or what have you. But with Morrissey,
I knew it.
I know. The more you ignore me, the closer I get. Estoy por allí.
Mm-hmm.
But then before the show, before we started this, I talked to you about if there was one cover song that I would ask you to do. Do you remember who that was?
Song? I won't stand in your way.
Stray Cats.
Yeah.
I thought I was listening to that, and again, the lyrics were hitting. And it doesn't matter in what position, what state of mind I'm in or anything like that. I just keep going back to this type of music because it just hits me really, really, really well. And when the Stray Cats did I Won't Stand in Your Way, that shit hits.
Yeah, always.
It's been in a lot of breakup tapes. For those of you that are old enough, we were doing fucking tapes, breakup tapes, breakup to makeup tapes and all that shit.
Yeah.
But for me, again, being just more high school rockabilly type of kid, Stray Cats was my shit. And I would listen to it. When I was listening to your song, I was just thinking, fuck, if you sang that song,
I'm down.
if you sing that song while I'm alive, that would mean the world to me.
Oh man,
because you would do it justice. You and the band would do it justice. Or if you want me to play the guitar and you sing,
Come
hey,
through,
like
come
hey,
through.
like we'll figure it out.
I'm down. I'm so down. Say less. Yeah, I'm with it. Well, damn, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. The first lyrics, the like honey, wild honey, strange honey nectar, that actually comes from a candle in my room.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Tell me more.
there was a candle that I got from Roz, and this was back when I was living with my parents still. And this boyfriend that I had that I wrote about often, who's basically in a lot of these songs, which was a complete piece of shit to me, like totally abused me and like hurt me physically and mentally, and just someone that I literally have like scars, like real scars on my body because of this person. And this person just kind of wrecked me. And coming from a very stable household, from two parents that did everything to like keep me in a bubble, and then me meeting this person who completely blew my mind, was super rock and roll, but also like basically robbed me, like basically tore me apart, so that I was like bare and shaking and like not even aware of like who am I anymore, like what am I doing. But I learned a lot, and this song is very special. So it means a lot to me hearing, what you have to say about it. But I guess I just remember that candle because I would sneak him into my parents' house a lot, even though he wasn't good for me. And at the end of the day, he knows who he is, and so does everybody else. But yeah, it just, that song is very special to me as
That's
well.
awesome.
And it's one of my favorites too.
Hopefully this is not too personal.
Oh.
But do you feel like this past relationship, has it closed you to love in the future?
Hell no.
Ah.
I'm just kidding. It's been kind of difficult because I'm gonna be honest with you. After this relationship, I think I just got into a string of other bad relationships where I just wanted to feel love, and sometimes people are willing to give you love, but it's not in the right way. Like they're just willing to like give you and give you and give you, and yet you're like, no, but that's not what I want. And then them being like, what? And then, after that, I dated another person who was also abusive to me, which I've had to like get a restraining order
Ay, caray,
on.
¿qué está pasando?
I've been with nothing but like,
Are you with just
shitty
is it bad boys your thing or?
No, it's just like, I don't know. I have a lot of love to give, and for some reason, people who have been very hurt tend to gravitate towards me, and all I want to do is love them and like give them a place to call home, and they end up taking advantage and just kind of not realizing that they're getting love on a silver platter. And maybe I'm not doing it right, but I don't know. I feel like there's a way to work things out. At the end of the day, I am always learning. I'm forever the student, and no one is perfect. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't had very good luck with love or anything like that. And my therapy is just fucking writing about it. Oh shit.
There you go.
Just like writing about it and getting over it, because truthfully, I love myself more. And I've made a promise to myself to always put me first. Men come and go. And although I like men very much, it's just I've learned to just take it as it comes, enjoy the moments, and I will know for sure when people are down to handle not just me but also themselves, because everybody has, their own internal struggles. And I think the important thing is to love yourself and be aware of yourself and the things that you need to work on in order to be able to open yourself up to like love and realize that what you're getting is love, So it's been a learning process, all in all.
It's that was beautifully said. My question to you, I'm still going to go back to it because this is very typical in a lot of relationships, that You said it very nicely when an individual is dealing with their own internal shit and they bring it into the relationship. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't know that they're dealing with it until it comes out. And sometimes it comes out very strong. Sometimes it's very subtle and it's a slow burn, which is worse for the relationship because you're stuck in something that you shouldn't be in. But sometimes it is very extreme. And when it is extreme, you start thinking, once I'm off of it, we can't help but put our guard up. And that guard, as we're learning, as we're getting older, is there with future relationships. Do you think the next person that that you decide that you want to see where it kind of goes, do you think they may suffer from what you've experienced and it's going to take more time for them to get your trust?
In a way, I would say yes. Actually, to be quite honest, it's something that I've recently experienced. I was kind of seeing somebody for a minute, and I just, I don't know. It wasn't quite right. Like, it was right, but not really, but kind of, but not really. And I just kind of had to step off of my cloud and really realize, like, maybe there are a couple things that I'm still carrying because I'm a person that cares about things, and it's not very easy for me to dismiss things, especially when I love people, and I feel like more than anything that is what I have in my heart. Like, I'm very much a lover, and I care very deeply about the people that I'm with, whether it's my friends, my family, and just as a whole. And I just kind of learned that, like, I don't know, you gotta kind of leave room for yourself first. And the most important thing, regardless, if you want to, you always want to be good to a person, but you also have to heal yourself internally. And whatever hurt you might be carrying or whatever pain you might be carrying, it's important to take some time and kind of sit with that and marinate on it and figure out why you feel the things you feel. And when you decide to open yourself up to another person, try to understand the feelings. And, like, yes, it's all very nice to be with somebody new and to experience all these things, but at the end of the day, when you sit down by yourself or when you lay down in bed on your own, that's something that you have to think about. Like, okay, am I really okay? Like, how am I feeling about all this? And why did I react a certain way? And what was it about that reaction? Like, why? Why did that happen? So that's something that I try to sit with, and I try to just kind of understand myself, because I feel like if I have a better understanding than about me, then possibly I might be able to develop an understanding for the next person that I would like to extend, this love to. Yeah.
That was wonderfully said. And I think I know you said a lot of important things, especially with working with yourself first, before giving yourself to somebody else. But when you do get into that relationship, I am, to a big extent, a hopeless romantic, that I want that feeling. I want that partner. I want to be in love. I hate confrontation. I understand sometimes it's part of a relationship because we're going to disagree.
Yeah.
I don't need
different.
Everybody's different, and I don't need a yes person. What I do need is somebody that can also be held accountable for their own actions and understand what they did, and I accept what I did.
That's
and
important.
Move forward.
That is definitely important. Like, realizing that, like, oh shit, in my head, I think I'm doing something right, but to you, it wasn't like that. And so now I have to kind of, like, assess, like, how, like, it's almost like practicing mindfulness, which is something that we should practice every single day in our daily lives. Just like how I speak and what I say. I mean, obviously it shouldn't be like something that should, I don't know, be obsessive in your head, but just something to remember.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm in a crowd with these people. Maybe saying this probably wouldn't be the right thing to do, but, kind of being aware of your surroundings and being mindful and and aware of others, I think is important.
It is. I wish I could practice that a lot more because I've been known to say some fucked up shit in front of people.
Me too.
And
Easier
then I
said
go
than
on-
done.
And I go on an apology tour the next day and así es la cosa.
I'm a Sag. I'm super sad. I'm like I don't believe in the signs, but I'm very like people have told me they're like, oh, you're a fire sign, aren't you? I'm like, how did you know? But I'm definitely one that's like, nah, fuck you, fuck that. I don't like
Yeah.
that shit. But respectfully, like I will realize it. I'm like, nah, you know what? Maybe that was wrong of me, and I'm sorry. And yeah, maybe I was wrong, but I realized that because you said something, and I respect what you said. So that's something that I'll work on. You know, it's always important to, I don't know, just to learn things. There's nothing wrong with learning things and being aware and being like, you know what? Maybe that is something I can work on. Maybe that is something worth looking into.
We have a lot in common because I used to live my life as, si ya sabes cómo me pongo, ¿por qué me invitan?
Porque me invitan. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also self-awareness and just learning on, I'm out there. Here's the thing. I mean, I feel like I try and live my life by as close as possible to that saying, work hard, play hard. And I know I work hard. There's no question about it. But I know when I go out, I do play hard. And maybe a little too hard for some people. And I like to say things that may be kind of out there, but I'm looking to create thought. I'm looking to create conversation. I'm not looking to create pinche escándalo or anything like that, but I'm just looking to have a good time, right?
Right.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, but I love to drink. I love to be out there, live my vida loca. And yeah, but it's hard. I love to live life with a lot of passion, but self-awareness,
Yeah.
and make adjustments as I go on. But everything that I've heard about you in regards to how you're living your life, about love, good for you. And I'm hoping that people are listening to learn that about themselves, to understand that, to really take it to heart what you're sharing with them when it comes to relationships. And I do hope for happiness for you, whatever that is. I hope for that. But I know it's already working really well for you guys. McCharmlys.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is like I said, this is an outlet. I think being in the McCharmlys is a big fuck you in
Yes.
in a lot of ways to a lot of people. I won't get into details, but there's been a lot of people that this is like my like fuck you, I'll do it then. You'll see. And I have to multiple people. There's been multiple relationships that I've been like, nah. I'll do this and I'll show you. Watch. And it's not about like, haha, I'm better than you, but it's more of like a, nah, I've got passion too and I've got heart too, and you putting me down doesn't mean that I won't succeed, because like you said, like I know I'm a hard worker. I know that like I don't just go through these things mindlessly. These are things that I've planned out, that I've worked towards, that I've set goals to myself. Like I told you over the phone, I've learned to become a person to be like, what is it that I want to do? Who is it that I want to be? And how can I achieve that? It's literally writing down bullet points like, okay, well, I want to release an album. What do you have to do to release an album? You have to write songs, you have to record, you have to figure out a label to be on so they can help you, push your music. And once you get on a label, you got to be with management, with agents who will push you to travel and tour, and that will eventually make you money. So it's definitely something that I've like written down and that I've seen before me multiple times, and I've asked a lot of questions about, and that's what I've realized works for me, and that's how I do music, and that's how I do everything else in my life. Like, what is it that I want to do, and what can I do to achieve it? Because it doesn't just fall from the sky. It's something that you definitely have to think about and work towards, and think about ways that are going to work for you, because everyone's budgeting in their own way. Everyone's living a different life. So it has to be something that aligns with your life and, just what's going to work for you.
Good for you. Angie, you've said a lot. I'm really grateful that you said yes to this interview. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of you. I'm a big fan of the band. You guys are doing some wonderful things, and I want nothing but success for you guys.
Thank you.
With your tour, you're going to be in all these different places, all these different states. I encourage, for those of you that are listening, for all you 22 people out there, including Mom, gracias, Ama.
Ama.
Make sure that you go to the McCharmlys page where you can get more details on where they're going to be. Hopefully, they're going to be in a state near you. You want to make sure that you get an opportunity to check out this band because they're incredible live performers. Not only that, but they also have a fantastic album. It's the guys in the band, yourself, the way everything is arranged musically is fantastic.
Thank you.
You've done a great job for that era of music, but you made it your own. And you brought more life to it, in my opinion. I still feel that there's some songs on there that need to get more recognition. You know what I'm talking about. There's still a cover song that I would love to hear. You know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But before we say goodbye, there are 3 questions again that I try and ask every guest. The first question, Angie, I'm going to ask you is, tell me an artist or band that was the most influential to you and why.
Oh, man. Do a lot of other people tell you that they have a hard time answering this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the time, and it's only been 2 people so far, but in conversations that I have with friends and we're at the bar and we're just talking, I ask that question because I'm curious, who's your fucking band? Because I know that I can easily say my band, but the reality is there's a long list of other bands that are really close to it, right?
Yeah.
Tell me as many as you want, but just something that this is my shit.
Especially at the moment. I mean, the older I get, the more I the more I allow into my life. I'm like, no, si esa está buena. No, si my mom was right. I don't know. Jeez, that's such a hard question because I'm very inspired by a lot of Mexican artists, a lot of I already told you, Agustin Lara, Cuco Sanchez. I love what's his name? Hector Iturbe. I like but I also really like bands obviously the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys. But I'm also a big fan of a band called the Cribs, which basically raised me in high school. And they're more indie. But I don't know. I'm all over the place. I genuinely I like it all. I am listening to an artist right now called Matthew Maltese, which is going to be on tour pretty soon. And what I like about him is the way he sings his songs. I have such a fascination in how he sings his lyrics, how he enunciates every word, and that just gives it just such an impact, which is why I like a lot of these artists in Spanish. Damn, they just kind of hit the soul with the way they sing their songs and the way they enunciate every word so that you hear every syllable. It just hits a certain way. But yeah, that's a toughie because I like a lot, and genre wise, I don't know. There's a lot of music that I like. You'd be surprised.
You said a lot of great bands.
Yeah.
Let me ask you the second question. From these 3, choose one.
Okay.
Either tell me your favorite movie, your favorite book, or an app on your phone that you really like.
Okay. I'm going to go with app. App because I'm still reading a bunch of books. And this is the world that I live in right now. Right now, with promoting your music, it's become a different platform. It's become artists now have the ability to make themselves known, which is very nice. And it's almost like a no-brainer. What are you doing if you're not putting in the work and promoting yourself and finding out interesting ways of doing so, then what are you doing? Because that's the world we live in now. So I would say my favorite app at the moment is this app called CapCut, and it's where I edit a lot of my videos for TikTok and Instagram and everything else. And it's very easy to use. It's basically it's almost like a tool that TikTok already has, but you're doing it on a separate platform, and it has, other settings that you can mess around with. So I find that pretty interesting because as even though I look very young, I am a little older, and it takes me a while to learn these apps. And I've realized that CapCut is very useful in promoting what I do. And little by little, I'm just learning something new every day about it. So I'd say that that's my favorite app at the moment.
I like that app too.
It's cool. It's
I am
cool.
using it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm creating all this content.
So exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
And Rob, who works in radio, currently working for a big music label, he's usually the one that does a lot of the content for My Grito and for Wiretap.
Mm-hmm.
But shit, the moment that I came across CapCut, I told him, bro, I got this. Let me create some content. It's not maybe not as cool as him, but I'm getting used to this app.
You just gotta play with it. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
So again, because I'm in the insurance industry, and when I talk to individuals and I talk about what type of legacy you want to leave behind, and legacy doesn't always necessarily mean financially. It means a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know the inevitable that at some point we are no longer going to be physically here in this earth.
Yeah.
And we have to ask ourselves, we don't have to ask ourselves, but I think it's a good question eventually to check in with ourselves and say, when our time comes and we're no longer in this earth, how do you wish you're going to be remembered? Angie's no longer here, and people are going to be saying, oh yeah, Angie, do you remember her?
Angie was a force to be fucking reckoned with.
Mira nomás, badass.
I don't know. If I were to die right now, I would hope that people would be like, nah, Angie was always doing shit. Like, Angie was always working. Angie was always, about her shit, because that's literally all I do. Even I mean, I'm no longer working full time. I actually quit my job recently, so I'm a full-time musician right now. And a lot of people are like, whoa, that's so awesome. You're a full-time musician. But it's like low-key not that awesome, because I'm really not making a lot of money, and they just raised my rent. And I'm at a point where I've thought about this very carefully. I'm like, okay, I'm almost like freaking 30, which may not be very much, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm almost 30. I live on my own. I do a lot of things on my own. And if there's anything that I want people to remember me by, is like, Angie didn't give up. Like, Angie is definitely somebody that was always working on something. I'm always like trying to use my time up to work, to like make something out of myself. Because again, the question that I ask myself every single day is, who do I want to be? And how can I get to that? I've always been a theater girl, and people have always told me, especially in the theater world, it's like, be who you want to be, but now you have to convince everybody else that you're that person. So I've always worked towards that, not to fake it, but more to be like, I want this, therefore I'm going to work hard for that. And that just comes with the nature. Like, people are going to see that I'm working towards that. So I hope that that's the legacy that I can leave, is just the fact that, oh, Angie's always working. So maybe someday when I die, some people can find some music that I've been working on, or can see all the work that I've done, all my journals that I've like written down my goals and scratched off little things here and there. Because that feels good whenever you like scratch off something like, yeah, I fucking did that. And again, it's not to be cocky, but it's more like, fuck yeah, I worked my ass off for that. Like, this is where my blood, sweat, and tears went to. And hell yeah, I'm proud of that because I worked for it. And that just tastes so good. So I'm hoping that's the legacy that I leave behind, is the fact that people can look back and be like, don't fuck with Angie. Angie's definitely someone that like means what she says because she works hard for it.
She says what she means, and she means what she says.
Damn right.
That was fantastic, Angie. I think it's great what you said. Personally, I think you're still underselling yourself. There's a lot more that you're going to be able to provide in this world, just based on your talent, your skills, based on what you're doing with the McCharmlys, based on their talent as a band. There's a lot more that you're going to leave behind. So continue to stay on that road to success, because you're creating a movement, if whether you realize it or not. The music is doing something. What you're saying here today is meaning something. The fact that you're taking your music career that serious, where you want to go full time, it's not easy.
No.
But you're believing in
all.
yourself. You're going all the way. And what I'm going to say for those of you, if you don't mind me saying this, that being a musician, especially a full-time musician, it's not easy.
There's no money.
It's very little money.
I mean, there is, but hardly.
It's hardly. It takes time in order for you to build a
Yes.
fan base. It takes time in order for you to build something serious, some serious income that's coming in. Some of the hardest things to swallow is that when you have a band that is talented, and the money is not coming in order to provide what they need just to get by. It's not a matter of, I'm going to make it, I'm going to have this huge ass fucking pad, I'm going to have all
Not
these
even about
cars.
that.
It's not about that. It's about making it. And I think what a lot of us don't realize, that being an artist, a musician, in itself, it's very difficult. And one of the things that can hinder that artist is not having the resources in order for them to mentally, physically be able to support that lifestyle. And if we don't have the fan base that says, hey, do you know what? The music that you're bringing is making an impact in my life. Not just, oh, it fucking sounds good. It's not that. It means something.
Yes.
The fact that I told you that one of your songs that's not getting enough love is going on my death playlist. Hopefully not. You won't hear it anytime soon, I hope.
No, hopefully not. No.
But that's how much I believe in your guys' band, that you guys are creating some great music. I hope for those of you, you're going to take the time to go ahead and follow the McCharmlys on Instagram. You're going to follow Angie on her own personal account with MyWildLove_, which, by the way, it's a Doors song, you
Yes, it
motherfuckers. It's a fucking Doors song.
My wild
While
love
the wind riding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another story. But not only follow them, but here's another way that you can support them. They're going on a big tour this year. We're talking 2024. It's a big fucking tour. By the time you're listening to this episode, they're already out on the road. They have a GoFundMe, if you don't mind me asking.
Yes.
Where can they find this GoFundMe?
Right now, you can click on the link in our bio on our Instagram, which is the McCharmlys _ spelled McCharmlys. No E. We spell it the wrong way on purpose. It's literally, it makes me laugh every time someone spells it with an E, because I did that shit on purpose. I literally did. I was like,
Toma.
I literally did. And yeah, you can find it in the link in our bio, and whenever you feel like donating, it really means a lot to us. It's again, it's not easy being a full-time musician. This is something that I have thought about for a long time, and although I loved my last job, the last job that I had, shout out to Nature's Flavors and Bill and Maria and everybody that was, part of that team. I love them to death, but they've allowed me this beautiful experience to be able to go off and do what I'm very passionate about, which is music and writing songs, not just for myself, but for other people. And it means the world to me to listen to everybody interpret the music on their own and feel it on their own. And if you feel like donating, it all counts. Everything helps. Every dollar helps. Whatever you donate to us is going to go towards van rentals, towards places to sleep, towards food, because again, this is a very hard industry. There's a lot of artists and a lot of musicians, and everyone deserves the help. But if you can find it within your heart and you feel, you know, the desire to support us, then please go ahead and get on our Instagram, hit that link in our bio, and go ahead and click on the first tab, which says donate to our GoFundMe. And again, that goes towards our travels and our tours. We actually just got offered an East Coast tour, which I was so excited about. And I really wanted to do because, I mean, New York, Chicago, duh, like no brainer. But there is a brain and it costs money. So, you know, it would help us very much to get to a city near you, because this is all we want to do. I think all the boys, I can truthfully say, all the boys want to travel, and we've all been doing this for a long time, but it seems like this is going really well, and all we want to do is get to you and play and get to meet everybody, because everyone's so cool, and it's like, damn, you're just like me, you know? So it's nice. But yeah, that's where you can find it. Or if not, you can Venmo us, meet us at whatever works for you. We'd be happy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you heard it here, guys, you can support the band by going on their page and putting any money that can go towards their tour. You can Venmo. Also, you can support them by picking up their album. So that's, if for any of you that are thinking, well, fuck, what's in it for me? Listen, you fucking cheap asses. You can just buy the album, and you get an incredible album on vinyl by simply going to their page. You can buy it from them directly. There's also a lot of local record stores probably near you where they may have it. And if they don't have it, simply just give that record store a call and ask them, hey, do you guys have the McCharmlys vinyl available? And if they don't, ask them why not, and let the McCharmlys know, and maybe they can make it happen and make that product available there at that store. So Angie, thank you again. Muchas gracias. I sincerely mean it for being on the show. And as I mentioned to all of you, every episode I want to give some type of financial advice. And a lot of it is tied to based on how the conversation went. Angie did a big step by really believing in her craft and leaving her full-time job in order to really be full-time in music.
But save.
Yes.
But beforehand, save.
Save. You have to save. What some of you are may or may not be aware of is that, first of all, if you are in a 9-to-5 type of job where your employer is offering you some type of 401k or anything like that, you should invest in it. Whatever the match is, meet the match, whether it's 2, 4, 6%, do that, because I want you to understand, if 4% is $100, they're going to match $100. So that's $200 that's going towards your 401k. Yes, it's directly invested in the market, and yes, there's going to be some risk, but you have options on how to be a little bit more conservative. Look at money market accounts, look at fixed accounts. Right now, the market has been very bullish, maybe a little bit volatile, and we're getting close to a presidential election. Historically, anytime that there's a presidential election, the market gets very volatile. Regardless of which party wins, the markets get a little shaky. But if your employer is offering you a 401k, you should definitely take advantage of it. If you decide to go full-time with music, like Angie did, and leave your employer, if your employer did have a 401k and you're thinking about, wow, should I cash it in? Don't. Because here's the reality. This is all what we call qualified money. That means all of it's going to get taxed. It hasn't been taxed yet. So not only are you paying taxes on it, but you're also getting an additional penalty on it. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, you will be penalized by taking that money out prematurely. It's not worth it. You can find other alternatives outside of cashing in your 401k. So the big thing here is, again, invest in yourself. Pay yourself first. Put money in your retirement account. Do it at a younger age, because the older you is going to appreciate it as you get closer to retirement. And as you're changing jobs, because a lot of us go through it, either that 401k can be rolled over to your new employer, or there's other options that you have by simply giving me a call or IMing me, and I'll tell you what those options are. without that, again, Angie, thank you so much for being part of the show. I greatly appreciate it. You're a wonderful, talented person. The band is fantastic. I wish nothing but success for you guys. Gil, thank you so much for doing this again with me.
Yeah.
Of course.
Reminder, any of you that are interested in doing a podcast, you want to hit up the Mind Buzz Media. They can come to you. They can go in and help you out from A to Z on putting together your own podcast show. But also you want to check out their own podcast, The Mind Buzz. They interview a lot of great people on that show. So you want to check that out. And lastly, muchas gracias. Thank you for being on the show. Again, this is Oscar from My Grito. And again, this is My Grito. Salud y gracias.